Hi students, this is Dr. Menchaca Banyulo and I am your professor for um, 2310. I always approach this course a little differently because it's a fundamentals course that relies really heavily on this one textbook called Connect. And it's meant to be like optimally constructed so that people who are taking an online class can kind of get the most salient experiences and based on what we know about best teaching practices for online courses. um, so I tend to be very direct in how I have the material set up, and I also don't really give many lectures because the data is that those don't really seem to be as fruitful for online courses with interactive textbooks. However, I do give occasional ones. They're just not comprehensive by any means. Um, I have an even more different approach for the summer versions of this class um, because it's all expedited. It's very quick to march you guys through it. And I've given you deadlines with the idea that for most students, having the structure of deadlines is better um, and just more conducive to learning. But some students will want to get ahead of the deadlines, and that's also fine with me too. But I've set up the course pacing to be pretty quick, pretty rigorous, just because that's how it needs to be for a summer course. However, if you want to get ahead, if you want to do things quicker, even quicker than I've set them up, then feel free to. Um, if you'll look at your Canvas, you'll see that I don't put the assignment schedule in your syllabus. I actually organize the due dates. A student suggested it to me that, I kind of put all the due dates in one place in a little chart that I have placed in the top of your module. Um, and then if you look at assignments, you'll find all the due dates there too. The class is pretty minimalistic. Its emphasis is, of course, on Connect because so much of the learning outcomes of the course and the best practices of the course are um, driven by that textbook and interactive learning with the textbook. But I also added 2 Canvas assignments for you that are pretty brief, and then I have a final for you. And the final is just a letter to your representative on a subject that you care about, that's meaningful to you. I don't pass any judgment on if I think that's an important topic or not. My goal there is to see you engaging with the government about what matters to you, what's significant for you. So you really be thinking about kind of what you'd want to spend time learning about, what you'd want to spend time reaching out about. I always enjoy seeing what students have to say about that. As a part of that assignment, there's an outline due before, and you'll see that in more detail in the course materials. My only request, of course, is don't use AI. It's a pretty accessible assignment. I'm not a very hard grader. Don't use AI. Really use this as an opportunity to kind of acquaint yourself with a subject that matters to you. Um, Let me try to think. In your module, I offer some guidance on, just tips about how to use Connect. Reminders to just be sure that you're also aware of the non-Connect assignments that I mentioned. I also want to draw attention to the fact that I do reopen assignments for people. One thing that you would probably figure out pretty soon is that the course is cumulative, meaning there are prereqs for each section. So if you don't finish topic 1, for example, you're not going to be able to move on to like US chapter or whatever in topic 2. Or if you're in topic 3, unless you finish all the particular assignments in topic 3, all the chapters in topic 3, you won't be able to take the final assessment for that. So having things completed is what allows you to move to the next marker. And I am happy to reopen assignments for people. I'll check in periodically for that in a streamlined way through Canvas with a fake kind of assignment tab where it's not graded. It's just a way for me to centralize your requests for reopening. Another thing I wanted to draw attention to is the best way to contact me is typically through Canvas. My email is really spotty. Sometimes I will not get messages from students. Sometimes they'll get messages bounce back. Sometimes I will get a message from students, but like a week later. So the best thing to do is to message me through Canvas. Also, I wanted to say one kind of thing that happens with Canvas is that students look at the gradebook as kind of the definitive real-time reflection of the grade. That's not always going to be the case, especially if I have yet to grade one of the Canvas assignments, or one thing that happens a lot is that Connect does not always sync up your grades to the gradebook, so I have to go in and manually do that. All this is to say, you don't use the gradebook as kind of your guiding star. The most realistic reflection of your grades is actually going to be the grades you get in Connect. And if you're needing me to refresh or relink gradebook to Connect because it's not doing that on its own, let me know and I'll do that. I think the last thing I have to say is I have office hours on Thursday at 11. I can also meet by appointment at any other time. You're going to use a Zoom link. If you want to do office hours, you're going to use a Zoom link that I put at the top of your module. So that's about as much as I can think of. I'm really happy to have you in the class. I am hoping that, together we can get through the summer experience. I know summer school students tend to be very determined, very straightforward, very efficient. But let me know what I can do to help you, or what I can do to enhance your learning experience. Yeah, and I'm so glad that you're here. And have a safe and enjoyable summer. Thanks. Bye.